Hello and welcome into the RotoWire Esports Show. My name is Ethan Sexton, and joining me as always is DFS Chan. Chan, how's it going today?
Good. Cannot be better. How are you?
No complaints here. It's beautiful outside. I still have a broken foot, as some viewers might know, so I can't really go out and do anything, but at least it's better than like a cloudy, rainy day or something like that. Let's jump into things here. We'll review this morning's slate a little bit, Thursday morning's slate. JDG crushed it as we both thought they would. I know we were both pretty high on them as the highest scoring team and being in the optimal lineup, and that was the case with them, just a one-sided sweep. Kanavi especially looked great. Double jungle is pretty popular sometimes. I played LGD, JDG, but I went double 80 carry because I could. But turns out Kanavi captain was the way to go with double jungle today.
Yeah. Kanavi, as traditionally for that team has carried a good kill participation percentage, but also a very high kill share. So It kind of made sense. He carries that team when they win. So, yeah, I think the double jungle was the way to go today.
Yeah, definitely not too surprising because, like you said, he is a guy that can straight up carry from the jungle, and he certainly did that this morning. I think the most exciting series, though, was that LGD Rare Atom. LGD in the winning lineup, despite losing 2-1. They looked great in the first game, and honestly, pretty good in the other two games. They probably should have won game 2, honestly, which would have helped my lineup a lot, getting double sweep with LGD. But they kind of lost it in the mid and late game in game 2, and then Rare Atom was able to come back for the reverse sweep. But I think LGD looks pretty good, and that new look lineup looks much improved, especially from where they were in the spring.
Yeah, and I was very impressed with LGD's playing today. I do think now that I have seen what the team looks like, I think that what you said about the mid game and the late game, I think that's only going to get better as the team plays more games together competitively. So Rare Atom, as mentioned yesterday, has already played one game, but also has the same roster that they played with together last split in the spring split. So I think that helped out Rare Atom quite a bit in terms of throughout the mid and late games and game 3 as well. But yeah, I think I love LGD throughout the split. I think I'm gonna, take them, in good GPP spots. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we don't need to worry too much about their today they had a couple issues mid and late game, like we said, but this isn't a team of rookies, so they're all veteran players. So I think they'll figure it out. And right. I don't know if they'll be like a top team, but I think they could potentially be a team that fights for one of the final playoff spots or something like that. It's only one series, so small sample size, but we'll see what happens. Any thoughts on the LCK series? They pretty much went the way we thought, although Genji dropping a game was a little surprising. And then Red Force we thought would win, but would be lower scoring, and that is kind of how it turned out to be.
Yeah, and Red Force didn't look that great in the first game. I think they were down 9-0 in kill count at one point in game 1, but throughout the series they bounced back, and I think that's like what we just talked about early in the split. Jitters and newcomers with the new mid laner and Peanut. I think throughout the series I could see them play better as a team. And then Genji, I'm not too worried about that. I think they show how good they can be in the second game and the third game. So I think the first game was kind of like it's just their jitters, early split jitters. So, and DRX looked solid in game 1, but I think they're gonna struggle again this split. So
yeah, I think that sums it up pretty good. So let's jump into tomorrow and take a look at the matchups. So we're kicking things off 4 a.m. with Afrika and Fred at Brion. We already have seen Fred at Brion, of course, swept Sandbox yesterday. Afrika comes in for their first series of the summer. I think they're going to probably run the same lineup as they did in the spring. They do have a backup support who has never played. He's been the backup for a while, so not too worried about him. But they did add Leo in the 80 carry role, formerly of Sandbox, so he could compete with Bang. I'm going to guess that it'll be Bang starting, but honestly, this roster Besides Keen, I really don't like this roster that much at all. I think Bang and Fly are over-the-hill players, so maybe we do get Leo. But what's your thought on this first matchup of the day?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too impressed. I mean, I feel like they should have made some changes, in the offseason, but all they did is, like you said, Leo made 80 carry, but as you know, Bang has been their starter, and he's been okay last split. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how huge of an upgrade Leo is, and frankly, I think Bang's still going to start from what I've seen on the internet, on Twitter. So, yeah, and Breon looked very good on the other side of the matchup last game. So, I mean, this might be a spot where Breon wins the series, 2 wins in a row early in the split. But even though they scored fairly well last game, in their first game, as we talked about it last time, Breon was on the slate. Breon doesn't score well generally, so I don't even know if I will consider anybody from this matchup.
Yeah, I think I'm with you because I don't want to play Afrika as a favorite. I just don't like them as a favorite because they're just not that good. They don't score that well. So those things, like, I don't think I'll ever play them as a favorite unless we get a really crazy slate one day. And then Fred at Breon, you could think about them as an underdog, but I think as we go through this slate, we're going to talk about some better underdog options coming up. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Just that series seems like a fade for me all the way around. So we'll skip on by that one, and we'll head over to BLG and LNG. We've seen both these teams already once so far this week. Seems like a pretty close series to me. BLG are priced as the favorites. Do you have a lean one way or the other for this series?
I mentioned this last time when BLG played. I love BLG in the spot. Wei at jungle and PP God at support. They look very good, and they're only going to get better because they're newcomers, but they're individually very good players. So the only thing that I'm worried about is the team synergy, but they looked very good last game. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to, I have a lot of BLG in my lineups.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think I think they're deserving to be favorites as well. This does kind of feel like a series to me that I could see going either way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like 2-1, one way or the other potentially. So if people want to use LNG, I could see it as underdogs. Again, I'm going to reiterate that I think the underdogs in the next 2 matchups are better. I think if they were to win, they would score better. Like, I think if LNG win it's not going to be the highest scoring affair. And I think maybe this series overall is a little bit slower and lower kills. Do you agree with that? Or do you think it could be a little bloodier than I think?
No, I agree. LNG, even if you think LNG wins and LNG, gets good score, I just think last time we talked about this, but the combined kills per minute metric for LNG was the lowest amongst the LPL teams last split. Mm-hmm. So that tells me I don't really want to touch LNG unless I want to use them as a short stack. But for long stack purposes, I definitely think if you think BLG wins like me, I like BLG's chances here, and BLG tends to score much better than LNG generally. So I think that's where I'm leaning.
So if you go BLG, who would you really want to hone in on from their team? Would you consider any of these guys as a captain pick as well?
Yeah, we talked about this, but Wei. Definitely, I think he does a lot around the map. Let's see. His kill participation percentage was 68.2% last series in the 3 games he played in. And it looks like aiming was actually the highest, had the highest kill participation percentage at 77.3% amongst all the teammate starters for BLG. So, yeah, aiming and Wei would probably be my top 2 players to focus for BLG.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. There's no reason to captain like a PP God or anything like that. You're not going to have to go there. And then, Zika is okay, but I think aiming and Wei is the more carry duo of the team.
Yes.
So moving on to the second LPL series, I think this is a pretty good one. World Elite, or Team WE, formerly known as World Elite in the past, of course, come in for their first series, and then Suning we've seen already. We saw them get swept already, I should say. So for World Elite, I just wanted, since this is the first time we're seeing them this split, so Jumang is now known as Elk. So for those out there listening, if you see Elk, that is Jumang. So different name, same player. Very good AD carry, one of the up-and-comers in the league. And then they added Mole from Victory 5 to replace Shanks. And I think this is an okay upgrade. It's nothing like off the charts for me necessarily, but mid lane has really been a weak spot for this WE roster the past couple seasons. And I think Mole, well, he's not like outstanding or anything like that. I think he can potentially add some stability to the role at least. He had a pretty low kill participation on Victory 5 in the spring. Victory 5 were bad in the spring, of course, we should mention. But his kill participation was better than that of Shanks. And then he, although, like his kill participation was pretty low, amongst the lowest in the league among mid laners, he was second in kills among all mid laners. So he was really like the main carry for that V5 team. And although they were bad, he was at least aggressive in picking up a lot of kills. He finished 2 behind Duanby for the spring. So I think it's an upgrade, but I don't know how much of an upgrade it is. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Mole is more of a dynamic playmaker from V5, as you said. So I like that as a little bump of an upgrade. I think last split Team WE had some minor issues, but they were generally solid in my opinion. So I think I'll expect the similar things from them this split, especially if Jumang can play better a little bit. I think he struggled a little bit last split. So I think it depends on what kind of start they get off of during the games. I feel like they used to get behind early games so much, especially with Jumang not playing well individually in the laning phase. So we'll see how it goes with Mole at mid. I think they are going to play better. I have this matchup with WE beating Suning just after what I've seen Suning in their last matchup. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to take my chances with WE on this slate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know like for a fact that WE are going to win. Of course, we don't know that, but I definitely like their chances. Right. And one reason I really like them as well is they're so cheap on DraftKings. I was pretty surprised that Suning, not necessarily that Suning were favorites, but that they were such large favorites, at least in terms of the DraftKings pricing. Suning are the second most expensive team in most roles, not in every role, but in most roles. So WE are a really cheap option tomorrow with, I think, upside not only to win, but to score well in a win. In the spring, they got swept in the spring finals, the spring playoffs by Suning 3-0. But in the regular split, they actually swept Suning 2-0 with 44 kills. So I think there is some pretty good upside for WE. And like we said, I think Mole brings an upgrade to their weakest position. And then guys like Beisheng and Elk, formerly Jumang, in the past have shown huge upside. Like I think Beisheng was one of the best junglers in the past. They're both really good players on their day. So Suning are shaky. I think if I'm playing this matchup, I want the WE side. I don't think I want to pay the top flight price for Suning. So I'm with you on that one. That's WE being so cheap is a reason why, we were talking before, like, I don't think you need to go to Fred at Breon or LNG to get your underdog exposure. Yeah,
for sure. This slate, I like the LPL teams a lot. But we can talk about the next LCK matchup, the marquee matchup of the night. So
yes, this is the big one for the day. But we have to let's think about this in terms of DFS purposes. So we've seen T1. Let's expect same 5 that we saw on Wednesday. Probably going to be in there. I mean, they looked awesome. So I highly doubt there's going to be any changes. So should be Kanakuz, Faker, Teddy, carry you. And then Damwon, you know who they're going to bring. They didn't do any roster swaps. They're going to be as is. We remember from the spring. This is a huge matchup. The two best teams in Korea, probably. Who do you like here? I know you kind of hinted at who you like on yesterday's video, but now that we're here, we can talk about it.
I like T1.
Yeah.
And I love T1 here. I think T1's going to win 2-1. I think it's going to be a tough fought series for both teams. I think T1 has been looking forward to this matchup the whole offseason between the spring and summer splits. Damwon is obviously coming from the MSI tournament, which was, about a month-long tournament with all the breaks here and there and the quarantine and stuff. So, I don't even know how much practice time and scrims that they have gotten into, post MSI. But obviously Damwon is the best team statistically and just, eye test. It was the last split. But just coming off of an MSI, I think, teams tend to, get lackadaisical or just, that they're not sharp, rather. They may be burned out. So I love T1 in this spot. But for DFS purposes, I do not know, because I think this is going to be another low kill game between them two. Historically, when top two or top teams in the LCK play against each other, they tend to, play on the safer side and try not to make any mistakes because they approach the game a little differently. And I just think that's going to be another. This is going to be another game like that. So I don't know if I like T1 for DFS purposes. And also Damwon Gaming has been playing slowly. I know last season, Damwon has scored very well, but last spring split, and also in the MSI, Damwon was one of the slowest teams and did not rack up, as many kills as, for example, Hanwha Life or T1 late in the split. So either way, I just think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So I think I might fade this matchup, and maybe T1 for GPP purposes since they're the underdog. But I think that's where I'm leaning right now.
Yeah, that was going to be my big question for you. It's obviously for the viewers wise, it's good. The best matchup on the slate. Should be a really awesome series. But for DFS, my major concern was exactly what you mentioned. Is there going to be enough kills no matter who wins? I'm slightly tempted to go double underdog T1 WE. I think that's a sneaky lineup tomorrow to try to take down the GPP with. But like you said, my only real concern is is that T1 Damwon series going to produce enough kills? I'm not sure. It's a little risky, but I kind of do like that double underdog look for a little bit of a sneakier GPP way to go tomorrow. To your point, both series in the spring ended 2-1 in favor of Damwon, and they weren't the most explosive three-game series. So I think that's the major concern with this series. But we'll see what happens. I think to your point, like at MSI, we really saw Damwon being pretty slow, especially compared to RNG. So, yeah, I think that's the major concern for that series, at least for DFS purposes. I think for me, my team pool really is going to be WE, BLG, T1. You can throw Damwon in, but similar concerns like paying all the way up for them for maybe a series that isn't going to be explosive enough. I don't know if it works out. I think I'm completely fading the first series, Afrika, Fred at Brion, and building my lineups with some of these other teams.
Yeah, and if I had to choose a matchup that would produce the most kills, it would be the Suning versus the Team WE.
Yep.
So, whichever side you play, I think I'm definitely going to play WE for sure. But I might have Suning in one of my GPP lineups because I think it looks like to me data supports that Team WE had the fastest pace of game in terms of kills on last split on the last two patches. So that tells me that game matchup's going to produce the most kills statistically. And as we mentioned, LNG plays slow. Afrika and Fred at Brion play slow. And we think T1 and Damwon Gaming will play slow. So I'll definitely have exposure to that Suning and Team WE matchup and then see where it goes. But yeah, I like BLG to win. I like the Team WE to win. And I like Freddie Brion to win and then T1 to win. So
yeah, I think that about sums it up. Any particular players you really like for any of those teams? I should have asked you when we were in each individual series, but I forgot.
No, that's okay. I mean, the Team WE we kind of talked about.
Yep.
I like Beishang a lot too, like you mentioned, and Elk rather, and Mole. So it's just typical carries. But Suning, yeah, I mean, Huan Feng, when he does play well or when they win, Huan Feng takes a lot of kill shares for that team. And then Ben, the top laner, I think that those are the two players I would focus.
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I think I'm going to have to decide whether I want to run some WEBLG or some WET1 tomorrow. Really kind of liking the T1 idea, but I'm just nervous about the kills. But we'll see what happens. Chan, anything else before we go for today?
No, that's it for me.
All right, yeah, me too. If you've enjoyed the video, you can get a free. Please give us a like and subscribe to the channel down below. Those are free to do. Just take a second of your time. We've got all sorts of other videos on the channel for all sorts of different sports. So check those out. If you're interested in checking out the RotoWire website, rotowire.com/try, there's a link down below you could click on. Free 10-day trial with no credit card required. I think we got somebody actually off that, Chan, because I think the guy in the Discord this morning might have been a new member. So that was cool to see. So welcome aboard. And if you want to jump into the Discord after you subscribe or during your trial, rotowire.com/chat with instructions on how to do that. We're in there. We're chatting. When things come up, we're happy to talk. So feel free to check those things out. Again, no credit card or purchase required. Chan, thanks for joining me again today, man. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I think it's going to be a pretty good slate. I'm looking forward to watching, and we'll catch you tomorrow to talk about Saturday.
Thanks, Ethan.
All right. Take care.